there, welcome to Football on 5. 90 minutes of the best of the EFL is coming your way, and trust me, there is some amazing action that you will not want to miss.
Yeah, and keeping their heads while all around are losing theirs. Alan Curbishley and Adam Virgo. Good to see you both, and here's what's coming up.
They were the talk of the town. Could one-time leaders Huddersfield rediscover their early season form against Bristol City?
Shot, excellent save.
After going down fighting at Hillsborough, it was seconds out again for Preston in a tasty Lancashire derby against Blackburn.
And the extraordinary scenes at Portman Road as Cardiff Sol Bamba saw red, and then saw red again, and then saw red again.
Our first action sees Bristol City go to Huddersfield. Both teams have been struggling to maintain the form that saw the hosts sit first and their visitors fifth at the beginning of October. Just one win in 8 for Huddersfield since then, 2 for Bristol City, and 5 defeats for both have seen them drop out of the top 6.
So, who would reassert their promotion credentials today? Your commentator at the John Smith Stadium is Paul Walker.
Kashunga suddenly has room. Moy. Palmer, challenged by Smith. Marlon Pack racing away with it for Bristol City, stolen back by Aaron Moy. Tommy Smith makes a good run out wide, and Kashunga's found him. Steered in. Oh, terrific team goal. Headed in by Elias Kashunga, who goes straight over to Tommy Smith to congratulate him for the perfect cross. Kashunga steers the ball out wide, continues the run into the middle, and it's a free header, an easy header for Kashunga. That is 6 league goals now for him, all of them at home. Trying to pick out Smith, who got there, and he's beaten Tomlin. Ball into the middle again, there's Naki Wells, chance for Huddersfield, second! And Fielding keeps Bristol City in it. Well, Bristol City were very nearly deep in trouble here. Well, a player of Naki Wells' quality would have backed him to score there. The giant frame of Flint, aimed at Wilbraham. Hayfler gets a touch. Will go for a corner to Bristol City. Freeman takes. Flint leaping. Oh, it's just wide. He crashes it, just inches wide of the post. But he met this plumb on the forehead. That is inches away from a Bristol City equaliser. That's a very, very late challenge from Freeman. Freeman will only get yellow. Matthews. Tomlin. Schindler going with him. Now Tomlin gets caught in almost exactly the same spot. No doubt about it, Tomlin is caught. Pack's free kick. Flint got his head to it again. Here is Flint. And now Wilbraham! Abraham! Bristol City have equalised. Huddersfield look across the line, nothing doing, and Tammy Abraham is back in the goals again. Aidan Flint plays a major part in the goal, hoisted over the top. Wilbraham slid in, and Tammy Abraham did the rest. A simple tap in for the Chelsea loanee. Breaks here for Casey Palmer. Now Kashunga for Rajiv Van La Parra. faced by Matthews. Van La Parra's shot, excellent save, comes out to Wells, blocked by Flint. A shout for handball, Keith Stroud having none of it. Took a wicked deflection off Marlon Pack, that's a very good save. Freeman. Foul by Freeman, who's already got a card, remember. He's got to be extremely careful, Luke Freeman. He does not want to be getting himself sent off. Corey Smith in bravely. Can Abraham get there? He can! He's pinched it off Hayfella, and the whistle's gone. Much to Tammy Abraham's dismay. And Lee Johnson on the sidelines as well. He's furious that play was not allowed to go on. Have to say, at first viewing, Abraham seems to win this fair and square, and does. He's away, he's in the clear. Oh, and Fielding handled outside the box, I think. Well, Keith Stroud has a decision to make. Well, he's given the free kick and he's seeking assistance from the assistant on this near touchline. Out he comes, Matthews leaves him to it, Wells was there. He gets a hand on that outside the area, doesn't he? It is yellow and not red. Well, the home fans are furious. Fielding clearly handles that ball outside the box. He's very lucky to be on the pitch. I think it's fair to say that Keith Stroud might not be welcome back to West Yorkshire anytime soon. It's an interesting back pass towards Fielding. He's made a mess of it! And punished by Naki Wells! And Fielding, who can count himself fortunate to be on the pitch, now probably wishes he wasn't. Because that was a horrible error. The back pass wasn't great either from Corey Smith. A lot of pace on this ball, but Fielding's touch was terrible. And Naki Wells is not going to pass up an invitation like that. This is Palmer. Lovely ball into Kashunga. Wells waiting in the centre. Matthews wasn't convincing. Managed to smuggle the ball away to Joe Bryan. Tomlin's touch. Wilbraham. Tomlin again. Looking for Abraham. It's a terrific ball. What can Abraham do? Tammy Abraham! Well, a couple of months ago, those were heading in on target. Lovely football. It wasn't so long back. Those were going in the back of the net from Tammy Abraham.
A goalkeeper handball outside the box. Our striker, Naki Welch, were very tight and able to score. Last man handball, send-off, yes, in my opinion. But today I can take this because we got the 3 points.
I certainly felt that we had cover, and like I say, you have to ask the referee. I mean, he has the exact mindset. We can't go home and blame that because today wasn't good enough.
We'll have another look at that in a moment. Really fiery game, actually. We enjoyed watching that one this afternoon. Really important win, Alan, as well, for Huddersfield. So their first league win since October. They started really well.
Yeah,
today.
they got on the front foot and they really pressurised Bristol City early on. This is a terrific goal because Kashunga starts it off and then drifts into the box. It's so difficult to pick him up. And it was the perfect start. And,
all the pace was on the ball as well.
Yeah,
so
I mean, he plays it out wide and most of the defenders are looking at the ball. And then he drifts into the box unopposed and he puts a header away.
Their Achilles heel, though, Adam, and tell me why, as a former defender, they cannot defend set pieces. 60% of the goals, 60 that they've conceded have been from set pieces, and again today.
When you go down to defending set plays, it's about yourself marking the man. I could probably understand if they had a case if they went zonal marking, but they don't. Like David Wagner's side, they set up that that's your man, and you're there. If he scores, it's your fault. But also, as well, second balls is such a key phase of play in free kick and set plays. That so many more goals are actually scored when it's cleared, and that was really poor defending on the edge of the box there from...
Offside, maybe?
Possibly, but then you just say you have to play to the whistle. Wilbraham was on the shoulder, and I think Abraham's playing better now with a big man beside him, and you know, they got themselves back into the game.
Not a match that's going to make the career highlights DVD, I don't think, of goalkeeper Frank Fielding. A couple of dodgy moments from him.
Yeah, well, obviously the penalty situation, the sending off, the red card. It's a definite red card for me. I think the Huddersfield manager was correct. I think that he's deliberately handballed it outside the box. And I don't see anyone covering.
I'm not sure where the cover is there.
Yeah, I don't agree with Lee there. I don't think there's
well, then this happens. He might have wished he had been sent off.
Well, we do ask a lot of our keepers, but as Adam said earlier, he should have just put his foot through it. I think that they try to be too clever now, goalkeepers.
It wasn't the best ball back to him originally, and when you see that coming, it's bobbling away. But great pressure from Nahki Wells. Both of their goals today has become, and that's the way the Huddersfield have been this season. They've really been on the front foot, and that's been a feature of their game this season, that they've played on the front foot and scored plenty of goals.
OK, on the way next, would it be another busy afternoon for the visiting goalkeeper at St James's Park? Welcome back to Football on 5. Now, before we bring you more of today's action, there was an important move at the top of the Sky Bet Championship last night, Lynsey.
Yes, after missing out on the chance to go top last weekend, Brighton took their opportunity against Leeds, albeit with a helping hand from Calvin Phillips. Adam sent off for a handball on the line at 23 minutes. Why do this at this stage of the match?
I mean, listen, Lynsey, he's had an excellent season so far for Leeds, and for me, he's probably been one of their best players. But you'd be looking at his age and he's still learning the game, and as a senior pro, I'd be saying to him at half-time, you didn't need to do that. I think it's an honest mistake from him. I think he thinks he's doing what's best for the team. But evidently, you feel you go 1-0 down, stay with 11 men. The way that Leeds have been playing this season, possibly would have given Brighton more of a game, and Glenn Murray's tucking away the penalty.
His 12th of the season, makes no mistake from there. They just need to get him scoring away from home.
No, I've said that to him, any dangerous scoring away from home. But listen, he's been excellent since he's come in from Bournemouth on loan. He's led the line well, and he's scoring important goals.
Leeds, though, kept it at 1-0 until the 82nd minute. How disappointed will Gary Monk be to have conceded the second?
I think when he looks at both of them, I think this one here will disappoint him the most. It's his captain, Bartley, and it's lazy defending. Lewis Dunn gets goal side of him, and they've done so well to hold Brighton out to a couple of chances, and you're going in 1-0 down, coming into like the 83rd minute. You give it a real good go towards the end, but by then Tomer Hemmed comes on. He's had a bit of a stop-start season so far, but I'm sure that goal will give him plenty of confidence.
A 13th clean sheet in 20 championship games for Brighton. So solid at the back. How well do you think they're playing overall?
I've seen them quite a few times now this season. I don't think they've hit the heights of playing consistently very, very well, but they're grinding out results, and they've got a great foundation, a great, centre-half pairing in Duffy and Dunk, and they are scoring well at home, but I still feel come the new year, they need to click into gear a little bit more to compete with Newcastle. And
they've announced losses of £25.9 million to the end of last season. What do they need to do in January to get them over the line this season?
Well, Tony Bloom's not really been renowned for spending big in January, and last year they lost on goal difference, so you'll be looking maybe as a striker to come in, but they cost money. So maybe a lone striker from the Premier League to come in with championship quality could be important for Brighton.
Well, the Seagulls unbeaten in 14. A tough night for Leeds, though, in a week where Massimo Cellino making the headlines again, George.
Yes, Alan, another ban for the Leeds United owner, his third. There he is. Don't think he'll be laughing like that now. He's been banned for 18 months. If you're Gary Monk, what are you thinking about all this?
Well, you don't want it to disturb what you're trying to do as the manager, but obviously I think it's an unprecedented situation. Can't quite remember it happening before. But the ban he's going to get, I think, starts in February. So if Leeds are in this playoff position when the window opens up, I'm sure Gary Monk will want to strengthen, and he'll be talking about that now, especially now they're in an attractive position. And if he's not going to be at the club, I'm sure there will be some sort of communication. But it looks to me that Gary Monk has got to start doing his business now and set the ball rolling on the players he wants to bring in.
OK, well, two more matches for you now. In a moment, we'll have a look at Reading to see if they could recover from that 5-0 defeat to Fulham last Saturday. First, though, it's Newcastle looking themselves to reclaim top spot from Brighton. They had both John Joe Shelby and Paul Dummett in their side to face Birmingham after successfully appealing red cards against Nottingham Forest last weekend.
Newcastle's back-to-back league defeats arguably only made Birmingham's trip to St James's Park even more difficult, with the home side doubly determined to finish the weekend at the summit. And 18 minutes was all it took for Dwight Gow to latch onto Modiame's centre, easily escaping the attentions of a Blues team that conceded 3 at home to Barnsley last week and couldn't find a foothold in this game. Soon after, Robert Tesch's attempt to block Isaac Hayden's cross only succeeded in teeing up Gow for his second. The Championship's leading scorer clearly enjoying himself, with Birmingham already in danger of a real hiding, and surely pleased to make it to half-time without sustaining any further damage, relieved that Johan Gouffron couldn't make more of another ball across from Diame. Gary Rowett admitted his players were given a bit of a lesson and says he'll be astonished if Newcastle don't immediately return to the top level. Gouffron got his goal just 2 minutes after the break to put the result beyond doubt. But as far as Gow was concerned, there was still plenty to play for. Diame's superb touch putting him in sight of a hat-trick. Thomas Kuszczak kept him waiting with a brilliant stop before Birmingham mustered their only notable effort of the game. Shea Adams' shot was parried by Carl Darlow to debutant Corey O'Keefe, who couldn't take the chance to mark his breakthrough appearance. No such worries for Gale. With 13 minutes left, Shelvey's driving run made sure he did collect the match ball after all. The forward's 16th league goal of the season may have had Newcastle's players jumping for joy, but Rafa is keeping his feet firmly on the ground.
I said that we have to get 3 points. We know that it's a long race, difficult competition. It's better to be at the top of the table now, but the most important thing is to be at the top of the table at the end of the season.
I think if you're going to come to St James's Park in front of that crowd and try to quell them somewhat, you certainly got to play with a lot more intelligence, aggression, quality on the ball, and we were nowhere near where we needed to be today, and we conceded goals at very, very poor times of the game.
Reading boss Jaap Stam was prepared to dismiss last Saturday's hammering at Fulham as a one-off, as long as his team worked harder and performed better a week later. Sam Hutchinson's lovely threaded ball was probably what he had in mind, but unfortunately he plays for Wednesday. Lucas Jow's failure to capitalise was rather luckier for the home side. That chance came after 51 pretty forgettable minutes, but Reading's next bit of good fortune was more decisive. Roy Behrens will claim the goal, but among several suspects, Tom Lees made the telling deflection. And with 15 minutes left, his players delivered on the manager's demands. Ali Al-Habsi and Jan Kermagant with the hard work, and Behrens performed very impressively to make his 5th goal of the season significantly more clear-cut than his 4th. Wednesday's hopes of trading places with their hosts in the table were all but gone, but they managed to improve on that rather harsh scoreline when Adam Reach's cross was met by substitute Stephen Fletcher. That was at the start of 6 minutes of added time. And at the end, the visitors almost snatched a point. Fletcher's snapshot diverted wide by Al-Habsi's fingertips. Neither that heavy defeat nor this scrappy win changing Stam's view of the job in hand.
And everybody wants to be in the playoffs, you know, to have that chance for the Premier League to go up. But we need to be realistic as well in what we can do. We need to have a look at our own squad. Maybe we can do something in January. We're talking about that, you know, to give that extra boost to the squad. But we look at it from game to game. You know, we try to do well. We try to win our games to get a result, and that's how we do it.
So Reading cementing 3rd place. Newcastle, though, back to the top of the table. Dwight Gale with his 2nd hat-trick, 16 goals in 15 league starts for him, Alan. Wearing that number 9 shirt very well.
Yeah, absolutely, and, you know, I think Newcastle was the only club that could tempt him out of the Premier League, to be fair. I was surprised when he went, but obviously Rafa Benitez knew what he was getting. He's getting someone who can lead the line. The pace frightens centre-halves to death because he's always on the move. And he got a little bit lucky there, but he's in the right place. But, you know, when you're coming up against someone like him, you know you're in for a difficult afternoon. And I think when you've got a centre-forward who's scoring like he is, it might give you a lift in the dressing room.
And got the service today as well, from Shelvey and Diame, who had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, every manager, and Gary Rowett said it in the interview, every manager that seems to come up against Newcastle at the moment are saying it's the best Championship squad they've ever seen, and, you know, there's certs to go up. But, you know, they get the setbacks they've had in recent weeks, so Rafa won't be... take it in his stride, but I think that Newcastle in the window will go again. I think they're the one club that can really go and buy the players that will cement them going up. And, you know, as we say, someone like Gal, if they can add to that... because
so they're going to buy Premier League players, you think?
You're going to buy Premier League players, and they can pay the Premier League wages, and, you know, the player that can go there with the confidence that they're going to be a Premier League player in next season.
Could he get 30-plus goals, Gail, do you think?
I think he could get up 25 at least, depending on, obviously, injuries. But they're in a position that if they did lose him, as Adam was saying about perhaps Glenn Murray at Brighton, etc., if they did lose Dwight Gale, they can replace him. Not a lot of teams can do that in the Championship.
OK, well, plenty more action to come after the break, including an absolute thriller at Molineux as Wolves entertain Fulham.
This is Football on 5. You're watching highlights from the Sky Bet Championship.
Our next roundup starts with two teams who found form in spectacular style last weekend. Norwich, who hit 5 past Brentford, were at Barnsley, who were impressive 3-0 winners at Birmingham.
If Barnsley's impressive win at St Andrews was an early Christmas present, all they really wanted was 3 points at home, something they hadn't managed since the 27th of August. Tom Bradshaw's neat finish to Josh Scowan's cross suggested dreams might come true. And a visit from Norwich was perhaps a bit of a gift. Alex Neil's side had lost their last 3 away games, and after Robbie Brady's free kick on target, the Canaries were in generous mood. John Ruddy gave with both hands and then took away with one, tipping over Bradshaw's header to redeem his earlier fumble. But the keeper was clutching at thin air 5 minutes before half-time, when James Bree's persistence was eventually rewarded by Conor Hourihane. So far, not a happy return for Norwich boss Alex Neil to the club where he spent 4 years as a player. But his team did improve, although their luck didn't. Early in the second half, Jacob Murphy's shot was blocked by defender Angus MacDonald, but Norwich's penalty appeals for handball fell on deaf ears from referee Andy Woolmer, and the goal that gave the visitors hope of improving their fortunes on the road was a proper screamer. And from the moment Nelson Oliveira made contact for his 6th of the season, Barnsley suddenly had the Oakwell jitters once again. After 7 home games without one, now they were hanging on for the win. Ivo Pinto kept Adam Davis involved. And Norwich's last attempt to avoid a 6th defeat in 7 games saw Yusuf Malumbu's effort deflected wide. Barnsley's first win over the Canaries since August 2000 was extremely welcome, but it took some wrapping up.
I thought we were good value first half, and we sort of imposed our style and our shape on Norwich. Second half, totally different. They came out the traps firing, made a couple of changes and showed that the players that were in the Premier League last year.
I thought the 2 boys that came on were excellent, but it's too little too late, and it's just not good enough from us.
Wolves thought attack was the best form of defence against a Fulham side who've been on fire of late, and they so nearly landed the first blow. Ryan Fredericks making sure they didn't. But the young defender, who would have an eye-catching afternoon, couldn't keep Courtney Hawes out. He hadn't scored in over 2 years, so when he did, he didn't quite know what to do with himself. Still, Fredericks could at least make his presence felt further up the pitch, and he did, setting up Stefan Johansson for the equaliser, and the Fulham goal machine was on the march again. The Reading defence could probably tell Wolves a thing or two about Fulham in full flight, and Fredericks was the provider yet again. This time, Floyd Ayite was on the same wavelength to collect his first goal of the season. Then it was time for someone else to set up a goal, Johansson taking that responsibility and Tom Cairney taking aim with devastating effect. His 5th goal of the season, and all of them on the road. Having lost their previous 4 games at Molineux, Wolves fans were probably thinking they'd seen this movie before, but when Nua Dicko teed up a tap-in for Matt Doherty, suddenly it was game on. In fact, film-wise, this had changed from a horror story to an edge-of-the-seat thriller, especially when Ivan Cavallero took matters into his own hands and scored his first goal since September. The Christmas season isn't complete without a little weep at It's a Wonderful Life, which is just what it felt like at Molineux when the home side struck again in the last minute. Dave Edwards making the impossible look straightforward, and Wolves celebrated like a side who just produced the comeback to end all comebacks. Unfortunately for them, this epic would deliver a cruel plot twist. Deep in injury time, Ayite producing a Hollywood ending, which Rocky would have been proud of.
Fulham a really good football side, as everybody can see, but I thought the second half, I thought we looked fantastic.
I don't know if I am happy with 1 point, or if I am unhappy because we lost 2 points. I don't know what I win today and what I lost today.
Aston Villa wanted to show last week's first defeat under Steve Bruce was just a blip, but one of his old clubs, Wigan, weren't going to make it easy. Though Jordan Amavi managed to find a hole in the massed ranks of a strugglers' defence, the home side didn't look convincing when it came to the crunch. Plenty of possession, but lacking a killer touch. Jonathan Kodjia's delicate chip, a bit too delicate to cause Jussi Jääskeläinen any serious concern. And the Latics, who'd lost only one of their 8 previous league games on this ground, could be very happy with the way the match was shaping up. Having frustrated the home side at every turn, in the second half, Warren Joyce's men even threatened to pinch all the points. Yannick Wildschut, not too far away from producing the touch of class an uninspiring contest was crying out for. That came instead from Jack Grealish. Just 2 minutes left, and Wigan's hard work counted for nothing. Villa now just 3 points off the top 6.
Today he's won us the match and scored a great goal, which he's capable of doing. So we're talking about him for the right reasons, which is important. And I think he knows the important thing of being on the back pages rather than the front. Now, it's very, very difficult these days for any young player, especially in a big city like this and the bright lights what it has. And especially he's one of their own too. You know, he's young and 21 years old. So he's had some difficult moments, as long as he learns from that, because he's still got a lot to learn.
Yeah, a pretty ordinary game at the Villa one, lit up though, Alan, by a very special goal. How would you manage someone like Jack Grealish?
Well, I think what Steve was intimating there is that the boy's got so much talent. They see it day in, day out. Does he deliver all the time in matches? Perhaps not, but when he can do something like this, it's a fantastic goal, a fantastic strike from him. But as Steve was talking about the front pages as opposed to the back pages, so he's got the perfect manager for him, I think, who will take no nonsense. And if he's doing it, and that means doing it in training as well as on match days, he will get a chance. If he's not going to do it, I think Steve's strong enough at Aston Villa at the moment just to put him to one side. Yeah. And I think it's a real crunch time for Grealish.
I think it's the senior players as well in the dressing room. Like, you know, you play with talented players. The manager can only see so much. The players tend to, go out for dinner, and you do go for drinks sometimes. And you need that experienced head around you to say, just concentrate on your football. There'll be a time and a place when you can go out with your mates. You can't be isolated all through the season. And I think it's just important he gets that consistency, during the week, and then play on the Saturdays, get the 3 points, and then he can, enjoy that other things that Steve's trying to stop him doing more of.
We've got to talk about the Wolves game. What an absolutely bonkers game of football this one was.
Well, what some fantastic goals. And Tom Kearney, as I said often enough, is a Premier League player, Tom is. I've seen him at close up. But this reminds me of Fulham of last year, because, they had Dembele and McCormack scoring so many goals, but they let just as many in. And I thought they'd solved their problem.
And they thought that was that, then?
Well, they did, yeah. And, Dave Edwards has been outstanding so far. And, that great win against QPR. And Paul Lambert's had a little bit of a difficult start since he's taken over from Walter Zenga. He's so disappointed conceding from a set play so late on after taking the lead deep into injury time.
Needs to clear out that squad as well. He said there's more in there than in Ben-Hur this week in that squad, so I think there'll be quite a lot of movement there in January. OK, Preston have attempted to repair the damage caused by Owen Doyle and Jermaine Beckford's on-pitch fight last weekend. The players issued an apology this week, and their fines have been used to refund the fans who travelled to Hillsborough.
Well, both were suspended for this evening's Lancashire derby and the visit of Blackburn, who were unbeaten in their last 3. Commentary from Don Goodman and Gary Weaver.
Danny Graham in a battle with Bailey Wright. It's Pearson. This now is Callum Robinson, who will fancy himself up against Ben Marshall tonight. Marshall gets a little touch on that. And now it's Johnson! There is magic in the left boot of Daniel Johnson, and he's just conjured up another trick.
Robinson it is, takes Marshall on, gets the ball in, starts that way outside the post and bends it in. It's an absolute beauty, and poor Jason Steele, absolutely no chance. What a goal. Dedicated to his girlfriend, I believe.
Yep. Special moments all round there for Daniel Johnson.
She's pregnant, let's clarify that, shall we?
Conway's delivery, not seen too much of Conway yet, and that was a risky challenge, and that has led to a penalty. And Daniel Johnson, 0-0.
Well, would you believe it? He's just scored an absolute worldie of a goal. And then he's caught on his heels, really. Danny Graham, Maxwell gets to it, Graham again, Maxwell gets to it once more, all hands on deck, finally it's forced home. Well, if you don't succeed once, try, and try again. Oh, what a scramble. He's a little bit unfortunate, isn't he, Chris Maxwell? Guesses right, and then Gallagher does well to keep it alive, keep it in the area, which allows Danny Graham a third opportunity, and he doesn't fail. 3 times lucky.
Mackinock trying to provide the platform for this Preston attack. Hugill. Mackinock will try to get to it, and it's kept out somehow by Steele's boot. The referee has blown.
Has he given a penalty?
Well, I think he may have done. Kevin Friend has blown his whistle, and a yellow card has been brandished.
Oh, what has Kevin Friend seen? It wasn't obvious. Well, there you go. What a spot that is. Lenihan goes up to try and block it, puts his arm up, and that is what it hits. Let's give credit to Kevin Friend. That is a remarkable spot.
Daniel Johnson walks down the road to redemption.
Well, cool as you like. I mean, he must have been thinking about the fact that he'd made a real rick at the other end and given a penalty away. It must have been in his mind, but you'd never believe it, would you?
Owen Coyle has just raced from his dugout, furious with referee Kevin Friend.
Well, he needs to calm down. He needs to calm down. If he saw what we had seen, cannot be complaining about the penalty.
Well, this has bounced through here to Danny Graham. Maxwell stretching, and Maxwell got to it, and he had to.
Wow, what a chance. Possibly creeping in. Credit Chris Maxwell. Blackburn haven't really offered any kind of an attacking threat so far.
Well, they're on the front foot here with Evans, who goes striding forward. The referee waves the appeals away, and Owen Coyle again is almost on the pitch, apoplectic that he hasn't got a penalty.
This might tell us Pearson, well, he's on his way down. That's not enough contact for me to warrant a penalty.
Conway. There's Ben Marshall. Marshall wants it back. They tried to find Ben Marshall. Sweeping challenge made by Cunningham, who I think when he heard the whistle thought for a second that that may have gone against him. And a yellow card has been shown to Ben Marshall.
And I have to say, for Ben Marshall to be seeing a yellow card for that, I do not understand that decision for the life of me.
Marshall. There goes Derek Williams, who slid the ball through nicely. He's getting back to his best. Another goal for Danny Graham, and Preston North End simply cannot shake Blackburn off.
Hits the target, that's the main thing here. And it's hard, and it's low, and it's awkward, and it takes a little deflection, actually. But nevertheless, that is an outstanding team passing goal.
There's Johnson. This now is Cunningham. Nicely done by Greg Cunningham. And it's a lovely spin and brilliant finish from Callum Robinson. This game swings again.
I think Jason Steele, who is a top goalkeeper, he will think that he could have done better, perhaps. But take nothing away from Callum Robinson. The turn, the touch, the finish, excellent. Well, back game management now, isn't it, for his team?
Danny Graham, it's tight and congested, and it's a free kick to Blackburn right on the edge of the box.
I think it might be Daniel Johnson that gets penalised for having a little kick.
Ben Marshall. was close, but not close enough.
Marshall, lots and lots of power, about a foot too high.
It was a real entertaining game. Obviously, had plenty of incidents, plenty of goals, goal-mouth scrambles, tackles flying in, and that's a proper game. That's how a derby match should be. And obviously, we came out on the positive side of it, which we delighted with. We showed a lot of character after the pegged us back twice, but obviously delighted we got 3 points and a hard-earned 3 points.
For me, it was a clear penalty in Corey Evans at the start of the second half. He's raced through, he's beyond his marker. His marker's come back. He's pushed him in the back, then put him round with the arm. And for me, it's a Stonewall penalty. The boy would probably be down in 10 men as well, I'd imagine, because there was no attempt to play the ball, which is a new ruling. So, I mean, that's a huge decision in any league in the world. But operating as we do in the 5th best league in the world, I mean, that's a big decision. It's got to be right.
Just the 5th? I think we think it's first, don't we? There you go. Well, an eventful Lancashire derby. Kevin Frendall made some good decisions, but Owen Coyle thinking he got a big one wrong at a 2-1 down. Adam, has he got a point? Is there enough contact to bring him down?
My initial reaction, Lynsey, when I very first saw it, I thought penalty straight away. But then the more I see it, is actually how much contact was there for him to go down. I don't think he needed to go down that easily. It's minor contact, but for me, I think he's looking for it, and I think he just feels that tiny nudge on his shoulder and goes down way too easily for me.
Had a good view.
Referee was in a great position. I think that a vastly experienced ref as well. And I don't think he flinched. He didn't even react that he was going to give a penalty there.
Well, if ever there was a time when Preston needed a win after the week they've had, they got it today. A good finish as well from Callum Robinson to seal the victory.
Oh, it's a fantastic finish. I think the fact that he's kept it down, I think that perhaps the keeper will be a bit disappointed because the ball's gone along the floor. It's very difficult to save that. And you know, as Simon Grayson said, you know, after the week they've had, they came out on top. It was a fantastic game.
And that moves them into the top half of the table. OK, stay with us for more action from the Sky Bet Championship. And Cardiff's Sol Bamba was involved in one of the most remarkable red cards you'll ever see.
Welcome back. You're watching highlights from the Sky Bet Championship on Football on 5.
Our final roundup starts with Ipswich against Cardiff and Mick McCarthy against Neil Warnock. Two men with 60 years of managerial experience between them, but they might not have experienced many afternoons like this one.
This match was heading for the folder marked instantly forgotten until a remarkable episode 20 minutes from time, and that's rather harsh on Cardiff. Alan Gunnarsson hit the post as they dominated the first half at Portman Road, except for the moment when keeper Ben Amos fumbled. Tom Lawrence reminded everyone why Ipswich don't score many. The next goalkeeping error proved more costly. Bartosz Białkowski with two hands on Peter Whittingham's corner and then none at all, and Gunnarsson had his second goal of the season. But a rare win on the road got a little trickier for the Welshman after the break. First in the conventional manner, when Luke Varney levelled for Town. Gunnarsson involved again with this inadvertent assist. Then it was time for that standout moment, which was sparked by a clash between Sol Bamba and Ipswich midfielder Jonathan Douglas. The Cardiff defender much more incensed than he was hurt. And after pushing over his own physio and squaring up to a number of Ipswich players, Bamba was asked to leave the field for treatment, where he confronted the fourth official and was duly sent off by referee James Adcock. His final exchange with manager Neil Warnock was ultimately more damaging to the club, but Ipswich couldn't punish them further. In fact, the 10 men might have won it in stoppage time when Białkowski kept out Sean Morrison's header. Ipswich booed off at the end, but this game's pantomime villain was already long gone.
You can't condone what he's done. It's a red card, isn't it? But I think when you got experience, the referee had a great chance to give a foul and stop the play, but he tried to play advantage. And what I'm saying to him, when Sol Bamba's down on the ground, I don't want advantage. I want him to stop it, and it saves all that. One free kick would have saved all that problems that I've got now that's mounted up.
Brentford were looking to bounce back after their 5-0 humiliation at Norwich last weekend. So, when Romain Sawyers picked out Scott Hogan, nerves were calmed a little around Griffin Park. And they needed to be, because the Bees have lost their way in the Championship after losing their last 4 matches. They gave themselves another mountain to climb when Lucas Akins set up Jamie Ward for the equaliser, and suddenly a first away win of the season for Nigel Clough's men was possible. But to achieve that, they would have to keep one of the division's top scorers quiet, which was problematic. When Hogan showed a clean pair of heels and a clean strike, a clean hit of the post was the end result. And even the Brentford striker wasn't quite sure how that stayed out. These two sides had never met before, and the history books will show that Hogan was the hero because he did score the winner, thanks to another poacher's finish, his 13th of an impressive season. What they won't show is the goal that never was. Hogan inevitably involved, but in muscling John Mousinho out of the way, he incurred the displeasure of referee David Coote, who disallowed what would have been a hat-trick goal. Burton's defence was still having to work overtime and injury time, and Tom Field would have scored his first senior goal if only John Brayford hadn't been in the way. There was also still time for a little argy-bargy, Nico Yeneris catching Ben Turner late. Safe to say they won't be exchanging early Christmas cards.
You've got to be careful not to be too critical because we're Burton Albion playing in the Championship away from home, and it's very, very difficult for us. And as long as we have a go like we did second half, that's all we ask of them.
As Ian Holloway attempts to revive QPR's season, Rotherham seemed a good place to go. But the last line of the Championship's leakiest defence held firm to defy Connor Washington. And after Lewis Price's fine stop, the bottom club gave themselves an enormous boost. Izzy Brown exchanging passes with Danny Ward to rattle in his third Rotherham goal since joining on loan from Chelsea. Of course, there were bound to be some testing moments for a team which managed its single win so far way back in August. Price producing an even better save after the break to prevent Sharon Cherry from giving Rangers fresh hope of avoiding a third successive defeat. And as their shoulders slumped, Rotherham were invigorated. If Ward seemed sure to score, Joe Newell's opportunity looked even better. Both went begging, but Rotherham kept on battling, and Newell appeared to be in no mood to dwell on his miss. The Millers are fighting hard for Paul Warne, a man who puts the care into caretaker. For him, this really matters. After 11 defeats in 12, victory at last.
I said to that before the game, I want to come in and I want to be able to look you all in the eyes and you look back at me and you're happy with your performance. And I made the joke of saying, look, don't be the guy who lets the team down, you know what I mean? Don't be that guy. And luckily today there wasn't one of them guys. All 11 were warriors, and the subs who went on done well for me. So overall I was obviously pleased.
So there's annoyed, there's angry, and then there's Sol Bamba. Take it away, gentlemen.
I don't know where to start, to be honest, George. I mean, Neil Warnock saying that he should not have played the advantage. That's got nothing to do with this. This is just a player who's just completely lost it, and something's just trigged in his head.
But at this point, he hasn't been sent off.
No, I know. I mean, Curbs, can you help me out?
Well, Neil Warnock and Mick McCarthy, what, a couple of thousand games between them. I've never seen anything like this. Especially this bit, where they're trying to calm him down.
Does Neil make it worse there, do you think?
Well, because I think he's looking in his eyes and he knows that he's completely lost it. He's just trying and settle him down, but he's having none of it. And it wasn't actually sent off until he had to go at the fourth official.
You can't go pushing your manager like that, regardless of how much you've lost your head like that. And it wasn't even a bad foul. So it's different if he two-footed him and he almost broke his leg or something. It was a 50-50 challenge.
Absolutely bizarre, wasn't it?
And he's just completely lost it.
We've got to mention Rotherham. Terrific victory for them today.
Yeah, it's been a really, really difficult season for them, losing two managers. And Izzy Brown, for me, has been the standout player for them. Every time I've seen him play, he's always playing on the move, he's always playing on the shoulders, taking up good positions and taking his goals well. Look what it means to the players. Listen, I wrote them off last season quite early on and I got a bit of egg on my face. So I'm not saying too much this year, but credit to Paul Warne. He's gone in there and they've got a good result. QPR I fear for at the moment. I do think they're going to really, really struggle this season.
Well, that's 3 defeats on the spin for QPR. Rotherham winning 2 games all season, both against London clubs, and they play Fulham next, so look out. Anyway, here we go. Here's the table.
Rotherham, though, stayed bottom despite picking up their first win in 16 league games. Wigan and Cardiff keep them company in the drop zone.
Here's the other end of the table. Brighton spent less than 24 hours at the summit. Newcastle are back in pole position after that win over Birmingham. Reading third, Huddersfield up to fourth. Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday complete the playoff places.
Well, stay with us. For Goal Rush from Sky Bet Leagues 1 and 2, we'll have the first ever league meeting of the Dons and see how Sheffield United got a helping hand when they face Swindon.
Welcome to Goal Rush on Football on 5. We'll get cracking in Sky Bet League One with the first ever league meeting. What a story of MK Dons and AFC Wimbledon.
It is 13 years since the Dons moved to Milton Keynes, and in that time the reborn AFC Wimbledon have been promoted 6 times and went into today's fixture 12 places above their hosts in the table.
For new manager Robbie Neilson, a crash course in MK Dons' controversial history. Some AFC Wimbledon fans stayed away, having vowed never to set foot in this stadium where Milton Keynes made the early running. Ben Reeves a whisker from giving the strugglers the lead, with his namesake Jake providing Wimbledon's only threat in the first half with a couple of long-range pot shots. The second fielded comfortably by David Martin. Neil Ardley's men weren't achieving the levels that had carried them to the fringe of the playoff race, and had another fortunate escape in the second half when George Baldock picked out Dean Bowditch. The visitors had lost only one of their last 13 league matches. The pivotal moment in this one arrived shortly after the hour mark. Chasing back, Barry Fuller tangled with Dean Lewington, and Bowditch was handed the chance to redeem himself for that ineffective header. Still 5 points above the club they filled took their league place, AFC Wimbledon fans will maintain they won the war, even if this battle ended in defeat.
It's been decided by penalty. Was it a penalty? I don't know, soft, but I did feel that we was on the end of probably an 80-20 ratio of decisions against us today, which is tough when it's a derby to be that high.
I thought the players to man gave everything. You know, I thought they caused real problems with the passing that they had to the opposition, and they stood up to the physicality as well. So, oh no, a great day, you know, to get that monkey off a back of no home wins since March, you know, but to get it in such a high-profile, important game for the club was a great lift for the players.
A big win for Robbie Neilson. That'll be hard to take for AFC Wimbledon. But, Alan, just a reminder, again, of how far they've come. And I think the league position will make it easier to take for them.
Absolutely. I mean, phenomenal story. And, you know, you can be a fan of a club, you know, wallowing in the lower depths of the league, but that's the dream. I think what they've achieved has been fantastic. They'll be disappointed today, but overall they've had a fantastic time.
They set an example to other clubs struggling, Adam, of what can be achieved.
I mean, I played against them when they got promoted into League Two when I was at Bristol Rovers in their first ever game, and the atmosphere and the feeling within the club that they weren't here to make up the numbers. They were here to progress on as a football club, and at the moment, great manager as well. He takes a lot of credit for how well they're doing too.
First home win, though, for MK Dons in 16 league games, and an important one for Robbie Neilson to kick off his time there. OK, time now to take a look at the sides at the top of Sky Bet League One now.
First up, Graham Alexander, the November Manager of the Month, and his table-topping Scunthorpe team. They were at Rochdale, who'd won their last 7 home games.
Ahead of their clash with league leaders Scunthorpe, Rochdale hadn't conceded a home league goal since September the 17th. Impressive indeed, and Dale made the breakthrough just before half-time. Joe Thompson with his first goal since August last season. After the interval, the hosts made it 2-0. Stephen Davis found Oliver Rathbone, who was a little fortunate with the finish, but that put Rochdale in total control. And good became great 15 minutes from the end when Rochdale went 3-0 ahead. Calvin Andrew, playing for the first time following a 9-game suspension, scored his 4th of the season. But then the game changed in a matter of minutes. 80 minutes on the clock when Scunthorpe's Tom Hopper stabbed home from close range after good work from Josh Morris. And then 4 minutes later, Morris's free kick set up Neil Bishop, who made it 3-2 with 6 minutes to go. But Rochdale held on for their 8th straight home league victory.
Sheffield United's promotion bandwagon is purring again. They opened the scoring when Mark Duffy struck with a little help from keeper Lawrence Vigouroux. The Wiltshire side did learn their lesson and packed the penalty area 2 minutes later, but even that wasn't enough to keep Paul Coots out. You can see why these two sides are heading in completely different directions. Swindon's defending will give head coach Luke Williams nightmares. Duffy won't score many easier goals than that. The visitors have only won once on the road since February, and relegation alarm bells will be ringing at the county ground after this performance, which was wrapped up by Keelan Lavery's first goal for the club.
When these teams last met 15 years ago, it was a Premier League fixture. Charlton's long journey back to those lofty heights is now under the guidance of Carl Robinson, and Josh Magennis almost got the new boss up and running. Robinson's league debut was also characterised by a solid defensive display, with the man at the back to the fore. Dylan Phillips off his line smartly to deny Jordi Huwula. For Bradford, this was a low-key addition to the season's unbeaten home league record, which they couldn't improve against 10 men after Patrick Bauer was sent off for stopping Mark McNulty in his tracks. Robinson will hope this is the start of something for the Addicts.
Sixth in the table, Peterborough were expected to cruise past League One strugglers Chesterfield, but it was still surprising to see Tom Nichols grab the fastest goal in League One this season after just 26 seconds. Danny Wilson's side have won 2 on the trot themselves, though, in the league, and they refused to capitulate after going behind so early. Ched Evans ending his goal drought thanks to a deflection to give his side a much-needed equaliser. There was a bit more intervention from the posh defence as Chesterfield suddenly took the lead. A great strike from Liam O'Neill, taking a wicked ricochet, leaving Luke McGee helpless and the visitors in position for a shock upset. But the posh were having none of it, and 3 minutes into first half injury time, they made it 2 apiece. Gwion Edwards levelling the score and settling the Holmes fans' nerves with a real thunderbolt with his right boot. 10 minutes after the interval, the playoff hopefuls were back ahead. Paul Taylor picked out by Nichols before grabbing number 3 for his side. Nichols had found the back of the net just once in his last 5 league outings before today, so he made up for lost time as he grabbed his second of the afternoon to double the advantage with a quick hit on the counter-attack as Taylor returned the favour. Grant McCann's team did let a 2-goal lead slip in the FA Cup last weekend against Notts County, but there was little doubt of that happening when 8 minutes from time, Michael Boswick fired home number 5 to complete the rout.
A 5-match unbeaten run seen Fleetwood knocking on the door of the playoff places, and Walsall could do nothing as Ash Hunter produced a stunning finish, his 8th goal of the campaign. Midway through the second half, they got another. Neil Etheridge could only flap away Hunter's cross, and Bobby Grant was on hand to score his first goal in 11 league matches. West Ham loanee George Dobson, who's only just turned 19, opened his Walsall account, but only goal difference separates Fleetwood from the top 6 now.
Heck of a result, Adam, for Rochdale, who looks so strong at home at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Keith Hill takes a massive amount of credit. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves because he has to rely on youngsters coming through and getting the best out of them week in, week out. And as you've seen this season, they're just going from strength to strength. And it's not an easy place to go to, Rochdale. The pitch is very narrow. The crowd are on top of you. And, you know, Calvin Andrews coming back. I played with him at Brighton. They've missed him desperately. And him leading the line with that experience as well is only going to help them.
Scunthorpe's next 4 games, Alan. Millwall home, Bradford away, Bolton away, Peterborough at home. I think we're going to find out quite a lot about the strength of their push in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, a surprise package being at the top of the league there, and that was a big game today. But, you know, they're there on merit, and I think once you get... It's not a start anymore. Once you get in that position leading into the Christmas period, you've got a chance.
Right, let's see some more goals, shall we? 5 games left from League One to bring you.
Yeah, we start at Vale Park and a return to face the club he used to manage for Northampton boss Rob Page.
Without a goal in over 300 minutes of league football, Northampton boss Rob Page was more relieved to end the drought than anything else as Gabriel Zakwani broke the deadlock at Vale Park. The lead lasted for half an hour, but Vale were keen to show the form that has them unbeaten in their last 3 outings, Ryan Taylor pulling the home side level just after the interval. With full-time looming, Northampton up the ante, desperate for a first win since October. And with 12 minutes to go, Sam Hoskins found his 10th goal for the club to turn the tide in the Cobblers' favour. And that advantage was cemented in the 90th minute as Paul Anderson mopped up the leftovers, passing into an unguarded net as the visitors took an insurmountable lead. Even the late header from Regino Sicilia gave little cause for concern as the Cobblers finally ended their 4-game losing streak, while Vale suffered their first home loss since October.
Bury were aiming to end an unwanted club record of 10 straight league defeats, and hopes were raised when teenager Scott Burgess volleyed in his first senior goal to put them ahead. Rovers were much changed after their embarrassing FA Cup defeat here by non-league Barrow, and the shuffle pack came up trumps as Rory Gaffney at the second attempt put them level within 7 minutes. And before half-time, they were ahead via a familiar source. This was goal number 16 of the season for Matty Taylor on the end of Charlie Colquitt's cross. A thrilling second half saw Rovers go further ahead when Ollie Clark arrowed the ball into the corner. A good time to score his first goal since March. Bury, to their credit, continued to make a game of it though, and got back within a goal when 18-year-old substitute George Miller popped up 15 minutes from time. But the visitors' mood matched the worsening weather when Peter Hartley scored for the 5th time this season to wrap up 3 points for Rovers and end a 3-match losing run. Bury's plight was summed up when Neil Dans was sent off. The losing streak goes on. They're a point off the drop zone.
Southend have been renowned for scoring early goals in games this season, so the home fans would have been in their seats and ready, no doubt, to see Anthony Wordsworth give United the lead in just the 6th minute. That's his 7th goal of the season, and an interesting celebration with his teammates. But the special moment of the day came midway through the second half. Anton Ferdinand made it 2-0 for Southend, with his first goal in English football for nearly 9 years. 5 minutes later, Phil Brown's side seemed to have wrapped up the points when they went 3-0 ahead. Stephen McLaughlin with a fine strike for his 7th of the season. However, there was still time for a consolation from the visitors. Coventry's Dan Ajay with his 4th goal of his loan spell from Premier League side Burnley. Southend's victory moves them up to 8th.
Oldham don't score many goals, so Christmas came early when Simon Eastwood came and didn't collect, which meant Cameron Burgess couldn't miss. This was a test of Oxford's 5-match unbeaten run, and they rose to that challenge, especially Rob Hall, who produced a stunning equaliser, which was definitely worth a pat on the back. That probably isn't something Usman Fain will get from his manager after a second yellow card ended his afternoon. His protests of innocence fell on deaf ears, leaving his 10 teammates to hold on for a point.
With all the cup distractions of the last week, it was time for Millwall to get back down to their promotion push in Sky Bet League One against bottom-of-the-table Shrewsbury. But it was the visitors who took the lead after 17 minutes. Louis Dodds finishing a wonderfully worked move to score his side's first goal in 4 outings. It certainly wasn't plain sailing for the Shrews as the Lions hunted for an equaliser. Jason Lutweiler doing just enough to deny Lee Gregory late on and keep a 3rd clean sheet in 19 league games.
Despite that result, Shrewsbury stayed bottom of the league, but they're now level on points with Chesterfield and Oldham. Coventry remain 21st.
Let's have a look out the other end of the table. Here we go. Scunthorpe stay top. Sheffield United are 2nd. Bolton don't play until Monday, so they drop to 3rd, while Bradford, Rochdale and Peterborough stay where they are.
And you stay where you are, because we have all the League Two action coming up next for you, including why this first senior goal for Newport's Tom Owen Evans will be erased from history. And the goal in the big game at Plymouth that Doncaster will want to erase from their memories. This is Goal Rush on Football on 5, and our Sky Bet League 2 action starts with the big game at the top of the table.
Yes, Plymouth were the early pace setters, but Doncaster took top spot last weekend and went to Home Park today looking to hold on to it.
3 successive defeats, with 2 of them coming at Home Park, had halted Plymouth's promotion charge. But when Tommy Rowe's momentum got the better of him, there was Graham Carey to make Doncaster pay. The Yorkshire side had arrived in Devon in red-hot form after 4 successive wins, but they were outmuscled by a reinvigorated Plymouth. Andy Butler's desperate attempt to stop Ryan Donaldson making further progress wasn't appreciated by referee Oliver Langford, but it was by Jake Jervis, who made no mistake from the spot. But his victory celebrations may have been a little premature. The visitors continued to make a fight of it, and David Fox's challenge on Matty Blair in the last minute gave them a chance to apply some pressure. Liam Mandeville couldn't convert though, and keeper Luke McCormick's evident delight caused tempers to boil over. Especially James Coppinger, whose intervention cost him a red card. It summed up Doncaster's afternoon.
Yeah, an outstanding victory for us today. We played, very well from start to finish, and to Tactically and technically, very good.
We dominated most of the game in terms of possession. A lapse of concentrations cost us the first goal and complete control of the match.
Second place Carlisle were happy to return to league action after 2 cup defeats in a row and quickly back in the groove away at Luton. Sean Miller's header spilled at the feet of Jason Kennedy, his 9th league goal of the season, putting the Cumbrians in front with only 5 minutes gone. But Danny Hilton's even more prolific for the Hatters, who were back on level terms in the 10th minute when Jack Marriott found their man in the mask spinning away from Sean Brisley. 14 goals all told and 9 in his last 11 appearances, which have helped Luton hold their playoff position. There have been too many draws to mount a concerted push for the top 3, and this would be the home club's 7th in 11 games, despite Michael Raines apparently testing out that protection for Hilton's fractured cheekbone to leave Carlisle a man light for the final 8 minutes.
This game at Blundell Park needed a second-half spark, and it got it from 2 substitutes. For Grimsby, Tom Bolarinwa led the charge as the home side built up a head of steam, which was extinguished 4 minutes from time by Pompey's replacement. Cal Naismith making it 6 away league games unbeaten and then setting off on that very long journey home.
Yeovil's fine form since early October had seen them rise to 6th in League Two, and they dominated this match against Barnet. When Otis Khan hit the crossbar in the 70th minute, it was the second time they'd hit the frame of the goal. But Barnet themselves haven't lost away from home in 2 months, so perhaps it wasn't that surprising when they won the game with their only shot on target 6 minutes from time. Curtis Weston set up Alex Nichols, and he finished well for his 2nd league goal of the season. Barnet now just outside the playoffs on goal difference.
Contrasting fortunes here, with Wycombe seeking a 5th straight league win and County looking to end a run of 4 defeats. And accordingly, the in-form Wanderers took the lead through the unmistakable figure of Adi Akinfenwa. The home side's woes increased in first half stoppage time when their skipper Michael O'Connor was sent off for a foul on Paris Cowan Hall. County say they'll appeal. And there was an air of inevitability around Meadow Lane when Wycombe's red-hot striker Scott Cashket scored his 10th goal in 10 games against 10 men in appropriately the 10th minute of the second half. Home boss John Sheridan was sent to the stands for over-aggressively claiming that it was offside. Akinfenwa then lived up to his beast nickname, sent off as well for a 2nd yellow card, joining O'Connor and Sheridan on the naughty step. Otherwise, it was the perfect way for Wycombe boss Gareth Ainsworth to celebrate his Manager of the Month award.
It took a mini moment of history to find a late breakthrough in a game that appeared destined to be a stalemate between Stevenage and Blackpool, as 18-year-old Bright Asai Samuel scored his first ever EFL goal, coming off the bench to give the Tangerines the advantage. Stevenage haven't won in 5 in the league at home, and that run would be extended to 6 after a lapse in concentration from Dean Wells allowed Mark Cullen to seal the deal for Blackpool in the first ever meeting between these 2 sides.
Oh, Plymouth, the first team to stop Doncaster scoring in the league this season. A big win for them after first league win in 4 games for them, and given a bit of a helping hand on the way with the first goal.
Well, they did, yeah, but it was a fantastic finish, wasn't it? You know, Plymouth, they can command, it's a big catchment area, they can command really big gates. If they can get promotion, you know, anything could happen to Plymouth. You know, they can, as I say, be a big club, and if they can get out of League Two, then push themselves right on.
Did Doncaster beat themselves today, like Darren Ferguson said? Were they the architects of their own downfall?
Oh, listen, they've been on good form, and again, you're looking at managers staying their job after relegation. It's important, I feel, to keep that continuity. But Graham Carey, the guy who scored the first goal, he is unbelievable. For me, he's too good for League Two, and you can't allow him that amount of time. But credit to Plymouth. 2 home defeats as well before that. They've showed their certainly championship credentials.
And a clean sheet as well. Important to get that confidence back at a key time in the season.
Yeah, they've been on a bit of a bad run, but you know, when you're in that top bit of the league, you know, you can afford to have a couple of slip-ups, and then you come back and you put yourself back in there again.
Yeah, over their dodgy spell, it looks like. Right, half a dozen more games. Let's show you those 6 remaining games in Sky Bet League 2.
Yeah, first it's 2 teams looking to put themselves into the playoff picture as Crawley travel to Crewe Alexandra.
Crawley conceded 5 goals in their last away league game and had won just twice on the road in 15. So imagine their delight when they took the lead against Crewe. 21 minutes in, and James Collins benefited after a gift from the home defence. That was Collins' 10th goal of the season. And midway through the second half, there was another early Christmas present from Crewe. Home goalkeeper Ben Garrett got in a mess with his defenders, and with no one taking charge, Crawley's Billy Clifford stepped in to find Collins, who made it 2-0 and moved the Sussex side 4 points off the playoffs.
It's been a good few weeks for Cambridge, 2 league wins on the bounce and a 4-0 victory over Coventry in the FA Cup. Luke Berry scored every goal in that game and was seeking another when he was fouled in the box by Toto Nsiala. But a fine save by Trevor Carson from Berry's spot kick kept it goalless at the interval. I'm not sure what Cambridge put in their half-time tea, but it was certainly invigorating as James Dunn put them ahead 6 minutes after the restart, and it sparked a goal rush. Berry, having missed that first half opportunity, took the next one that came his way, albeit via a deflection, to continue a hot streak which now runs to 7 goals in 4 games. And Cambridge didn't end there. Leon Legg confirmed a 3rd successive defeat for Pools with another goal as the home side simply fell apart. Uche Ikpeazu then joined the party from Berry's assist to score the 4th for the visitors, all of which had come in a devastating spell of less than 20 minutes. And the Cambridge Christmas cake was well and truly iced when Hull loanee Max Clark struck his first senior goal to seal their biggest EFL away win for over 22 years.
Chances were few and far between in this rather dour encounter from the middle of the Sky Bet League 2 pack. But for some wasteful finishing, Matt Green would have had his 10th goal of the season. Colchester decided to save their best of efforts till last. Sammy Schmodix's looping header was denied only by the frame of the goal, as the U's tried in vain to snatch a last-gasp winner.
Bottom of the Football League, so not too much to shout about around Rodney Parade, but at least the Newport fans could enjoy this wonderful strike from Tom Owen-Evans. It should have been his first ever league goal. But the celebrations were cut short. Torrential rain in South Wales meant the game was abandoned at half-time.
Perhaps it was the intensity of a pre-Christmas relegation 6-pointer that led to the desperate tug on Gavin Massey from Accrington captain Sean McConville 24 minutes into their trip to East London. Darren Drysdale producing the red card, leaving the visitors down to 10 men and with an uphill task on their hands. Orient took their time to make the man advantage count, and when they did, there was a stroke of good fortune to their goal. Jay Simpson appeared to use his arm to control before firing home his 3rd of the campaign. A strike that leaves both clubs now 3 points clear of the drop zone.
Not much festive spirit at Cheltenham, who've lost their last 2 league games and were humbled in the FA Cup by non-league Sutton last weekend. Amari Morgan-Smith almost gave them a much-needed boost, but the post had other ideas. And it was Exeter decking the halls with boughs of holly as Lee Holmes' magnificently curled effort put them ahead 10 minutes into the second half of this rain-lashed relegation battle. The appropriately named Billy Waters offered the home side the opportunity to lift the mood 20 minutes from time, his 9th goal of the campaign. But the seasonal cheer quickly receded as David Wheeler slid in to put Exeter back in front with 9 minutes left. And the same player ensured another happy away day for them as he wrapped it up with a tap-in to take him to 6 goals for the season as the Grecians won for the 4th time in 5 away league games.
So that result means Cheltenham stay in the relegation zone along with Newport, whose match today was abandoned.
At the other end of the table, Plymouth reclaim top spot, 2 points clear of Carlisle and Doncaster. Portsmouth and Luton stay 4th and 5th, while Wickham and Blackpool both move up a place.
Well, that's it from us tonight. Our thanks go to Alan and to Adam, as always.
Yeah, great to see you both. Well, Owen Coyle said this evening that the Championship was the 5th best league in the world. We're more inclined to agree with Tina Turner that when it comes to entertainment, it's simply the best. Goodbye.